Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to let's talk about a little bit of Venus energies, and happy Friday 13th, by the way. Many people find Friday the 13th as a taboo, unlucky, and just like everything else, it's like everything excess the number 12, it's like, no, it interferes with the cycle. It interferes with the system. It interferes. That's that thing that wants to come in where it's not invited. There's that thing that wants to be there, kind of changing up the status quo, what's been, or disruptive energy. Now, I'm not saying that that's the energy necessarily of 13, but but self-creation does require a self to create oneself. One has to remove the things that are not of the self in order to be stable in who you are. Now, this message for the Divine Feminines right now. Divine Feminines, for the most part, if you've been doing your spiritual work, if you've been integrating your shadow self, if you've been adopting your new beliefs that are based on higher consciousness, or things that you consider to be more elevated in terms of how your behavior is, in terms of how you're thinking, more open-minded, more open and trusting to the universe, keep in mind that the karmic energy, what the karmic energy is trying to do is to keep you in what we would call a low vibration. A low vibration is not necessarily being low, meaning just being chill, being relaxed, being calm, being quiet, being to yourself. Those are things that people, oh, why aren't you out there partying? Why aren't you out there like vibing high? Why aren't you like smiling and throwing flowers at the world? This is what the expectation of Venus in the light is supposed to be, like party and fun and dramatically creative, like in a very like bold way, and express yourself in always this high vibe. So there's become this like perception of low vibe, a fear that's come over that, disgust, a feeling of, oh no, we cannot have darkness in our realm, because if we have any kind of darkness, it's going to manifest negative, unlucky things. And that's not necessarily so. The negative energy is there to teach us what, where the deficiencies are in our character, where the deficiencies are in our self-worth, where the deficiencies are in our own belief, in our ability to stand in our truth when we're challenged by things that we do not agree with, by things that we do not want to accept as truth, not because we're in denial, but because it's a projection of someone else's truth, trying to dim your light. Being the negative force, being the divine feminine negative force, the chaos in someone else's reality, isn't necessary. Controlled chaos can bring positive change. Meaning, it's like when you deal with a child that you're reminding them to take care of their responsibilities, to take accountability, to manage themselves. You tell a child these things, and I'm not talking about, elementary school child, I'm talking about middle school, high school. You're giving them more responsibilities to take accountability for themselves, to become responsible. Maturity. It's a level of maturity of being able to own one's consequences for one's behavior. Deflecting it and blaming others and all that stuff. You cannot allow those behaviors to go unchecked, especially when you're growing when you're trying to grow something the right way, meaning when you're trying to grow something in a way that manifests in positive, beneficial ways. Beneficial ways to grow do not include ways that are isolating to the detriment of your own health, to the detriment of your growth. It does not include shutting down or closing off or diminishing what you have to say or do or be in order to have your space in the world. And so when we're under the false pretense that we're supposed to, on some level, take the high road, be the bigger person and do the right thing, and God forbid you do something wrong, low or evil or bad, or somebody looks at you like you're wrong, bad or ugly or whatever the hell it is that they want to say, when you're correcting bullshit, let that be, because you need the darkness for the light to come to fruition. In other words, you're not always going to be the light in someone's eyes. You're not always going to be the joy in someone's world. You're going to sometimes be the villain. You're going to sometimes be the person's nemesis. You're going to sometimes be the person's wound that they need to correct in themselves. Now, it's not for you to go out there and point the finger and be like, you're this, that, and the other, and that's bad, wrong, and ugly. It's not your place to do that. But if you're responsible for individuals, children, as an adult, then it is your job to do that. It is your job to correct bad behavior. It is your job to ensure that the bad behavior is recognized why it's bad behavior. Not you, child, are evil, bad, or ugly. No. This behavior, child, it is not working. This behavior is not bringing you anything positive. If this behavior causes you distress, if this behavior causes you to have to be removed from places, people, you know what I mean? Like, discipline is required to correct bad behavior. That just says there's a lack of maturity and understanding there. So here's the thing. When it's a child, we have tolerance for a child, and we have patience for a child, and we have a lot of compassion and love for a child. Any child. Because we know they're growing, they're developing, they're learning, they need to make mistakes. There's a difference between that and a child that has been reminded of things over and over again. That is consistently choosing the behavior that they know has a negative consequence. Not accepting accountability, not choosing to change behaviors that are not conducive to harmonious relationships. We need relationships in our life, whether we admit it or not, whether we like it or not, whether we're introverted or not. The reality and the consensus is we are a species that requires interaction with others. We are a species that requires assistance from one another, okay? So where I may falter, you may, be superior, and I can learn and grow from you, whereas vice versa. And this applies to, any age range, any culture, any demographic, any status. It doesn't matter. We don't come into each other's lives for no reason. We come into each other's lives to when we come together with another energy, we have the option to integrate what that person's energetic field is, to enhance our own, to learn about our own boundaries, to learn about aspects of ourselves that were hidden to us, and we're like, wow, I never thought I could do that, and here I am doing that. Oh my God, they're so this, I could never be that. Yeah, you can. So it's a matter of reflecting upon the people you interact with. The problem is when you have individuals in your life that choose not to grow, that choose to vilify you, that choose to create havoc and drama in your life, because it's one thing to be unaware, it's another thing to choose not to do the right thing. After you've been told, after reason has been shown to you, after the light has been shed, after it's been exposed, as you can physically see it in front of you and say, okay, here are the facts, here are the things, here are the results. The results aren't working. This is a boss to an employee can say, look, here's a log of your work for the month, and the expectation is that you meet this, and these are your numbers, or these are your statistics, and this is what you've done. This is what you've shown. This is what you have to show for it. If the results are not favorable or on the positive beneficial, then there's deficiencies there. It's nothing bad and wrong. It's just things that need to get worked on. Now, you can either step it up and work on those things if you want to improve on your own life. We all are dealt cards, okay? We're all dealt our cards when we're born. It's not the cards that we're born with, it's what we do with them. We may not have the best lot in life, we may not have the best opportunities allotted to us, offered to us, but it's not that they're not available to you. You just have to get yourself in the position where you can have better opportunities, where you can have. And the only way that you can do that is by understanding what social circles you're trying to fit into, or what social circles you want to partake in. Because there are certain expectations of behavior that accompanies that. You cannot want to go, for example, you cannot want to go to an ashram or some kind of a meditative circle and go meditate for 30 days if you're unwilling to let go of things that are loud and noisy. You want to be you want to listen to your loud music, you want to have your play your music, you want to talk loud, you want to be heard, you want to do all that. That wouldn't be the place for you, right? So there's no point in going there and then fighting about why you can't be there. You deserve to be there, you have the right to be there, blah, blah, blah. It's like, just because the door is open, just because everyone has the opportunity, doesn't mean that you're fit for that place. If you're not willing to adhere to the policies and regulations of the organization you're wishing to participate in, then that's not your organization, because you're unwilling. You don't want to. You can say you want to. You can pretend you do, but if you're not actually doing the things that are required of you to participate, because if they have a certain standards, because that standard is what is the way. It's like saying my business is my, I heard that earlier when I was taking a walk. My business is my oh my God, is my way of life. My way of life is my business. My way of life is my business. So how you are in your life is your business to manage, is your thing to do, is for you. So if you don't have a purpose, if you don't have an aim, if you don't have a desire to elevate or expand on your life experience, you're going to remain where you are. And you can make a victim of yourself, and you can cry about it, you can argue about it, you can make everyone else the problem about why you cannot get to where you want to go or where you want to do. And then you can say it's not fair and it's wrong and it's evil and these people just don't like me or whatever. You can say all of that. But at the end of the day, if you don't sit down in that silence and really, really understand where you are and where the expectation is for you to participate, because just because you want to participate in certain things doesn't mean you have what it takes to do that. Just because you want to be in the Olympics doesn't mean you qualify to be in the Olympics. Just because you want to go to the military doesn't mean you qualify to go to the military. That's the difference. Just because you want to be an actor, actress doesn't mean you're going to qualify to do that. So if it's something you actually want to do, if it's something that, and then here's the other thing. Sometimes you want to get to this point, but you got to go through here sometimes to get here so that from here you can get there. But if you don't do that, you'll never get to the point where then you can get there. And so if somebody's showing you, hey, you can't get here from here, you kind of have to do the legwork, or you kind of have to do the inner work to elevate yourself, or to put yourself in a position that's more favorable to you, so that then you can reap the benefits of that experience, then that's all on you. You have an option. Are you willing to do what it takes to have that benefit? Are you willing to do what it takes to have that experience? Are you willing to do what it takes to organize yourself in a way that aligns to what you actually want in life? You can't say you want this and act in the complete opposite way of what that is that you want to be doing. So so that was one message. Oh, the song "We Can't Be Friends." So one of the other messages that was coming in through pretty strongly is this whole thing. There are people in the world that do seek to, what's that word? It's not just to benefit off of you, but it's people that want to profit. They want to profit off of you. And sadly, even in relationships, people will have a relationship with you not so much because they want to be in your energy and they want to appreciate you as who you are, and they want to share their energy with you just for the simple fact of doing that. People have agendas, as I'm sure you all know. People have agendas, and people are willing to do anything to elevate themselves, even if it means stepping on certain toes, or if it means bulldozing certain people, or if it means creating certain scenarios just for the sake of winning. And I find that, this whole concept of doing the shadow work and the spiritual community and the high priestess energy kind of being used and manipulated to elevate certain individuals that want to be in the spiritual community, want to be known as spiritual in nature, doing the work. They like the title, but the work in itself, they don't want to do. So they have their ways of manipulating and using that energy to serve them. And Divine Feminine, if you've been in situations where you've been taken advantage of, and you know that your energy has been manipulated and used, and you've dealt, and I'm speaking to the aspect of the Divine Feminine in all that resonate with the message. It doesn't have to be a woman. It could be a man that has embodied his Divine Feminine energy. If you know, and you've dealt with narcissistic energies, and you've dealt with people that really have no consideration or have no at all desire to understand you, no desire to balance the relationship that they have with you. And by that I mean the equal give and take that is necessary for any relationship to thrive. If a person's unwilling to participate with you openly and go through these ups and downs with you, that's not them taking accountability for you. That's not them being involved in your drama. It's not about, can I dump my trash on your doorstep and then you clean it for me? And then whenever you want, you dump your trash on my doorstep and I'll clean it for you. No, that's not what that means. That's not what partnership is when it comes to like a dynamic of healing. The shaman energy, the high priest and high priestess energy, the spiritual work that you don't see in the tangible world, but you know that someone's carrying the weight of your shortcomings in some way. You might want to be weary of, or you might feel like, wait a second, I had a lot of, I shared a lot of energy with individuals that didn't share their energies with me in the same way. It wasn't reciprocated equally. You gave the best of you, or you did the best you could to keep the lines of communication open, or you did the best you could to be open, honest, vulnerable, real, authentic, direct, and giving a person the benefit of the doubt, or giving a person the space to choose to participate in your life with you. Okay? If you notice that people took advantage of that, or that people took for granted that, it's not unconscious if they're adults, believe you me. It's not unconscious. It's a habit that they don't want to change. It's not that they can't change. It's not that they don't know that it's a problem for others, how they are. That type of individual doesn't just do it to you. They do it to people they're comfortable doing it to. And certain people will have relationships and suddenly think, oh, because you're my partner, or because you're my family member, then you have to accept all the bullshit I come with. And because you have to love me, then you'll never leave. And if you never leave, I can continue to be me with no accountability. And that just doesn't work. So you may have done that a lot in the past, and people might still think that that's part of your MO, because at some point when you're trying to balance out a toxic dynamic and you choose to take the high road, people mistake the high road for being weak, or for being soft, or for being easily manipulated, or easily taken advantage of. Someone that can be played and joked with and disregarded. And when they do that, it has nothing to do with who you are as a person. What they neglect to see is that your tolerance for them is your ability to love. Excuse me. Your tolerance of them is your ability to love. Your desire to give them space to understand what it means to have a relationship that's honest and real and loyal and authentic and natural and genuine with good intentions. It's like us versus, whatever comes our way. It's an ally. It's an alliance. It's someone that's willing to do life with you and go up against whatever comes. As long as we're bonded together, we can do this together, so that you don't have to carry that burden all alone. So this applies in friendships, family, lovers, whatever the case might be, whoever you have that, you give that alliance to. When you do that and someone doesn't see it, and someone takes it for granted and betrays that, and then goes and the same people that you're supposed to be allying up to protect yourselves from, and they're the culprit, and it's like, no, that's just not gonna work. And then they want to use you to clean up their mess. That's a no-no. You're not here to clean up anybody's mess. I don't care how much you love them. If they are there's nothing physically actually wrong with them, okay? Oh, but they got ADHD. Oh, but they got this. Oh, but they this and they that, or they've been through this or they've been through that. That's not an excuse for shitty behavior. That's not an excuse for disregarding a person's boundaries. That's not an excuse for not taking accountability and responsibility for your own behavior. And so when that happens, and you realize those, and then you say no, like you just no longer are participating in that, those individuals can become very grudgeful, and it's not even your place to try to fix that. You have to let them go through what they go through, and not participate with it. You don't have to, and that's another thing. You don't have to, unless your safety is being jeopardized, okay? Your health or your safety is being jeopardized. You don't have to leave once you have boundaries established internally. It's like, you can just watch them have their tantrum and let them have a tantrum. And it's like, okay, when they get over their tantrum, they can come correct and talk to you. But otherwise, it's like, we're not going to have that conversation under these conditions. We're not going to go back and forth and debate over something that's already been established or determined to be factual or unreliable, whatever the case might be. That's determined. Whatever is determined, it's like there's no debate about that. So, I asked, before I got online, I decided to meditate, and I asked, like, what energies are coming to us with this eclipse energy that starts tomorrow. And I see commitment. We got the rope here. This is second house energies. This is everything to do with what you value, what matters to you, what things you find to be important to you to hold on to. What things are you tied to based on your values that maybe don't work for you, that you might have to untie those bonds from? So I see, however, that with this eclipse energy, I see a commitment, a bond with a Libra energy. So you can be dealing with a Libra, or it could just be in a partnership. Okay, a commitment or a bond with an individual that you're in balance with an individual that your dynamic isn't necessarily fixed. It can fluctuate. You can have your ups and downs, but the downs don't destabilize you. The ups don't destabilize you. And you're consistently somewhere in the middle, being able to go, and fluctuate with your moods, with your mood swings, right? And be able to kind of like balance one another in a loving way. That even when things can get emotionally charged, or you can come to a conflict of a sort, it passes quickly. It goes through without affecting or negatively impacting it's almost like the foundation of love is so powerfully there that those things are not really like a make it or break it kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's like, I can live with your dark. I can live with your inconsistencies in this area, or I can live with your quirks, or whatever those things might be. They don't destabilize me. They don't define me. They don't challenge me to the point that I can no longer function independently or do what I must do to be who I am. So I find that being in this dynamic, like I said, could be a Libra, but could also be a Leo energy. But I find that this dynamic is very loving. It's very heartfelt. It's very passionate. It's very like like I said, that love. It's almost like fixed energy, meaning that's the standard. Love is the standard. Now, however you go up and down in your day-to-day, however you move left or right in your day-to-day, is within the frame of love. It doesn't deviate so far off that it's now destabilizing, or that it's now detrimental to my well-being, or that it's detrimental to somehow to our dynamic falling apart. And it's not so far right that it's, in any way, shape, or form that you have to be rigid or compromise any aspect of who you are just to be able to express, you can express your fullness and you can be all of you and love, it's like, this is like the narcissist in the positive. In the positive is you can have all this self-love. You can really value yourself, but it doesn't come at the expense of someone else. It doesn't come at the expense of neglecting anyone else. So this is really like that balance of loving the self, loving the other in a way that the standard is elevated, where it's like we can recognize these certain behaviors. It's okay if you have them in your own world. If you want to self-destruct, that's fine. You can self-destruct. I can allow you to do that and still be in your life. That doesn't change. My love for you is going to be there. If you want to self-destruct. If that's the process you need to go through in order to grow and elevate, okay. But you're not bringing me down with you. You're not taking me to that place with you. I'm not going to fall apart, break down into some nothing to reestablish who I am when I've already established that, when I already have that foundation, when I already know what I can and cannot do, when I already know what I will and will not do again, what I will or will not do at all. And that's one's prerogative, that's one's perspective, and no one has to adhere to that necessarily. It's not a force. It's not forced on anyone. This is who I am, take it or leave it. No, this is who I am. If you like it, wonderful. If you accept it, great. If you don't like it, peace and blessings to you. If you don't like it, keep it moving. If you don't like it, no one's asking you to. Have a nice life. Keep going. Like, we don't have to do life together. We don't have to participate in this reality together. That's the beauty of life. You don't have to engage with anyone you don't want to. However, when you choose to parent, then you are responsible, because that child is your responsibility until that child can do for themselves effectively, right? So relationships like that can be more challenging, but there's a lot more patience, because there's an understanding. A child isn't expected to know better. A child is not expected to do better until they have experience and practice and learn from their mistakes. But you can see that if those mistakes aren't corrected while young, then what you see is adults that have gotten away with that kind of behavior all their life, and then now spill onto their, romantic partnerships and friendships and colleagues and whatnot, and they operate underhandedly. They operate in a way that acts as if that entitled energy of, or the expectation, like, just because I am whoever, this is how I'm supposed to be treated, but it's only a one-sided. I should be treated this way, but I will not treat you that way. I should be looked at this way, but I will not look at you that way. You should care about how I feel, but I won't care about how you feel. That's bullshit. That's just straight bullshit. So don't demand what you're not giving. Don't expect anyone to have to do anything or treat you in any way that you think is owed to you. If someone isn't meeting your standards, then that person isn't your person. If they're not meeting certain standards because they say that it's too high for them, then it's too high for them to meet those standards. The expectation of respect, not everyone can give. The expectation of loyalty, not everyone can give. The expectation of truth, not everyone can give. Not everyone believes in those values. Not everybody cares about those things. Not everybody wants those things. Some people actually rather be lied to. And that was like a total shock to me. Oh, you rather have an illusion. You rather believe the lie. Because the truth to you is not even believable. Or the truth to you is not even fathomable. So therefore, create an illusion even though you know it's not real, and I know you're not doing it for real. We're going to just act. That's like the elephant in the room that you know is there. And it's like, why would I even entertain that? Like, who wants to live in that? Because that never ends. That never ends in any way positive. That's not the same as talking about role play in romance. That's not the same thing. Role play is when both individuals have a foundation that they are on the same page, and now you can cross into a realm of fantasy, create a whole illusion, a whole storyline that for a moment you can partake in and enjoy the experience on a pretense basis. But then you come out of that bubble, and then when you're in reality, you're better for it. You feel better about yourselves, or you love each other more, or you're closer, or you're more bonded, or you know what I mean? You had an enjoyable experience. Not where it's one person wants to be delusional and you're going to come in there and create an illusion for them to benefit off their delusion. Ah, universe, seriously. The people I've had to interact with in my whole life have been truly, truly an interesting matter. I understand that we grow up and we can create illusions. We can create ideals in our minds. And then when the reality doesn't match it, we can be upset, we can be angry, and we can be like, well, no, it's supposed to be this, but it's this, but it's supposed... And it's like, then you kind of like, okay, that bubble burst, you kind of fall, and you get to a ground station where you're like, okay, here I am, I'm grounded, realistic. I see things for what it is. And what is the issue here? What is the issue with this dynamic? Well, the issue with this dynamic is, if I'm having an issue with it, it's because I'm not... you would have to... anybody that has a problem with a relationship is feeling like something is lacking in the relationship. Happy in a situation doesn't come with complaints. Happy in a situation doesn't come with whining or bitching about it. So if somebody's whining and bitching about something, listen, what are they whining and bitching about? If they're whining and bitching because they want to be closer, then closer means that they want to be with you. They want to be more in your life. But then you as the whiner, for example, if you're whining and bitching because you want to get closer to somebody and you feel like that person doesn't get closer to you, they don't open up, they don't care to hear what you're thinking or feel, it doesn't move them to change. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was closing off to you, and here, let me open up to you. Whatever, that intimacy is blocked somehow. If you're bringing that up and they don't care, then you need to stop complaining about that and realize that that person isn't up to par with where you want to be in a relationship of that kind of intimacy. You need to develop a deeper sense of intimacy with yourself in order to recognize what is not that intimacy, so that you attract the true intimacy, because obviously that isn't the status of intimacy that you're comfortable with. Otherwise you wouldn't be complaining. But if you're experiencing dynamics that just aren't working because they don't meet your standard, and your standard is you should have this kind of job and you should be looking like that, and you should, and they come from a superficial place of, but you're not the one actually, like, you don't actually do that, you don't actually live like that. You cannot impose standards on an individual that you haven't met for yourself. And if you have met those standards for yourself, and you're expecting someone out of nothing, you just, I think I like you, and you look like someone that can meet my standards, and they fail you in that, can you really be angry at them that they can't manage or deal with the same standards as you? That they're not in that space with you. So you have to accept that reality. You have to be able to understand the difference between what is possible in another and what they're willing to do. you can't force that upon anyone. You can't expect anyone to meet those standards. Okay. And so, back where I was. Anywho, let me just go back to this real quick. This commitment, possibly to a Leo or Libra. You could be a Leo or a Libra. Taurus energy is here also. It's something that you really value. This is something that really is, it's either you just don't want the conflict. And conflict isn't that you don't expect that there won't be differences in opinion or differences in choices, or compromising isn't necessarily I have to give up something valuable to me to please you. Compromising is, okay, what do we have the same goal? Do we want the same thing? Okay, what do I need to do for us to get there? And what do you need to do for us to get there? And if we can both willingly do that, then that's a compromise. Because whatever I have to give up to do what I want to do, then I'm going to give it up to do what I want to do, to have what I want to have, to be what I want to be. And that's the expectation that should be there for both. When two people come together and they decide, oh, we're going to be married, you can't just be like, well, I want to go live in a mountain, and the other one say, I want to go live, on the countryside, or in the city, sorry. I want to live in the city. That should be a conversation that either one of you is willing to give up the country to go to the city, or vice versa, or you come to an agreement where both of you can have what you want. But if it's that different, then you're not on the same place, obviously. You're not in the same vibe. If one of you is happiest or most fulfilled in a certain area, if the other one is willing to shift and change, not to please the other person, but because of the open-mindedness of trying something new and giving it a fair shot and saying, I'm willing to try that. I don't mind being flexible in trying new things. You don't have to be so fixed in certain things. Maybe the universe is asking you to upgrade your standard of living, or to upgrade your standard of comfortability, because you might just be there because you're comfortable. You might just, stay where you are in a certain way and think that's what you like because you haven't really tried anything else or experienced anything else. So don't limit your opportunity to explore. But don't involve a person in your life on the pretense that it's where you want to be and it's what you want to do, only to then explore behind their back or try out, other things that have nothing to do with the relationship. If the relationship cannot be open, honest, and authentic, and just say what you really feel, and say what you really want, and say what you really think, and have a real dialogue and a real conversation, then you don't have a relationship that is actually as strong as it needs to be in order for it to thrive. Because if having a conversation leads to an argument and never comes up with a way to where both parties are happy, well, eventually the person that keeps bringing up the problem is going to realize this problem can't be fixed with this individual. So I must be the problem. Let me go work on me. I can't deal with this individual. And when I'm alone, suddenly all these things do work for me. Suddenly I can do all these things. And it's like, so if being with you limits me, and I take the time to myself to realize, am I the problem? Am I limiting myself here? Being with you, I'm limited and I'm complaining. So I'm going to be alone, and suddenly I'm not limited. Suddenly I'm doing the things I've wanted to do, and I can do them, and I'm doing them well, and I'm happy doing them. Then what was the problem there? Problem there was letting someone else influence what you're here to do, what you're here to experience, limiting your joy, limiting your happiness, limiting your journey because someone is unwilling to budge. And that's not fair. That's not fair to you, that's not fair to them. It's like, okay, you don't have to journey with me. You don't have to take this walk with me. You don't have to want to do these things. But you have to be willing to let go in peace if you can't take that ride with me. And I think that's what most relationships are about. It's like, we want this. I mean, people don't just agree to get married for no reason. You obviously have to have something in common. You obviously have to, have some benefit. Something has to be a benefit to both for two people to agree to marry. You can't have an unfair exchange of energy and expect it to remain. You can't have an underhanded contract that only you're aware of and nobody else is. It's like, I don't know, man. There's like a whole generation of individuals that you gotta ask yourself, like, what the fuck? What are you thinking? Like, So, what's coming with this eclipse energy is closing out that energy, closing out those types of relationships. It's like friendships, partnerships, work experiences, family dynamics, anything that if you're trying to elevate, grow the lot you've been given, okay? You were given some land and a few seeds, and this is your garden. Cultivate that garden to the best of your ability with people that want to grow that same garden and expand on it, that can add to it, that can give ideas and share and be like, oh, if we do it this way, my skills here say that we can plant it around this time and do it this way and it'll grow much better. You can share shared ideas, shared experiences, shared interests, shared vision. Those things expand and grow, all involved. But if you're trying to build that and you have individuals there that you tell, they know you're building this garden, and every day they run through and the few little sprouts you have are all destroyed and you got to redo it, and every time you're growing your flowers they come in and they destroy it, like, common sense would indicate that if you've explained to this individual, hey, the garden, it's not supposed to be sarcasm. You're not supposed to walk on top of the flowers. You're gonna destroy them. But they just keep doing it. Either that person needs to be kept away from the garden, or that person needs to be kept out of the farm, or that person needs to understand what is expected, choose to adhere to the policy or rules in regards to how we're protecting and taking care of the garden. And if they're not willing to do that, they're more than welcome to leave. And you'd be surprised how many people take offense to something so simple, such a genuine request. And now, that's how it is. Someone can have severely extreme standards that they expect of you, but if you know that they're not upholding those standards on their own, how willing are you to respect that individual in the long run? If let's say you're a trainer and you work out every day and you maintain your body every single day, and you eat well, and you work out regimen, routine, and you do all the stuff you're supposed to do on a daily because your standards are high for your physical health. If that's the case, and it's a must for you that your partner also be that way because it's a part of your lifestyle, then being in a relationship with someone that is a complete opposite of that is going to cause a problem. It's going to cause a conflict, because if what you're trying to do is participate with that partner and do that with that partner, and that partner rather sit on the couch and watch TV all day, and they're not into their health the way you are, it will cause conflict, clearly. But if you're in a partnership with a person where those were never your standards, and you were both on the couch watching TV, and neither one of you gave a shit about your health, and neither one of you did that, right? All of a sudden, your standards change, you elevate, and you start making that a priority, and that becomes part of your lifestyle. And you want to bring your partner along with you because you know you feel great, you know you feel better, you know you feel like you've just gained years up on your life, that, you know, productive and healthy, happy, joyous, uplifted. And you want that partner to come with you, and it causes problems and problems and problems. How long do you think you're going to fight about that before you just associate with people that are there and do it with those people? And then that person's going to what? Get angry? Oh, you're working out with them? You're not including me? You're leaving me behind? Why? You never asked me to join. And then that becomes a problem, you see? So it's like, no. Let's be clear about our intentions. Let's be honest about our needs. Let's be honest about what we really want and who we really are, so that we don't waste people's time, so that we don't waste people's energy trying to fit or fix a situation that probably doesn't have to. It's like relationships don't have to be worked on. Relationships don't have to be fixed. It either comes correct. It's either a healthy relationship and balanced, or it is not. And if it is not, are you going to handle it in a way? Are you going to address the issues so that it can work in harmony and healthy and balanced? And are both individuals willing to do that? Because if that's the case, then you can grow into that and slowly but surely get to a better place. But you need both participating to make that happen. But if it becomes a constant conflict and the change doesn't happen, and it's constantly bringing you into a position where you need to focus on fixing and correcting and arguing and debating and justifying and all this stuff, and it's keeping you from doing that thing that you want to do, that's toxic. That's not a balanced relationship. That individual that's unwilling to change, it's not your responsibility to change that. It's not your place to fix that. It's not your place to be responsible for that. It is your place to recognize it, acknowledge it, separate from that. Ask yourself, how imperative is it that this person remain in my inner circle? How imperative is it for this person to be in my life? Does this person, is it required for them to be in my life? Am I responsible for them? Is it my job to do this for them? If you can't say yes to any of those things, then there's nothing wrong with walking away. There's nothing wrong with taking a nice hiatus from that individual, giving them the space to either meet you where you are or continue their journey where they are and attach themselves to other people that are more to their liking. If you're an open individual and you're giving and loving and sharing, and you want to be in a reciprocal dynamic, it doesn't matter what kind of relationship that is. That could be with a child, with a spouse, with a parent, with a friend, with a job, with a passion, with a hobby. You want it to be reciprocal. If that's what you want, you need to acknowledge where it is not. And where it is not is going to either be in your control for it to change, because it might not be based on Maybe your standards are too high. Maybe your boundaries aren't in place. Maybe you need to adjust your perception of the matter. But if you can take all that accountability for yourself and you're like, okay, this is what's true for me, this is what's right for me, this is where I belong, and this is what I want to do, and this is how I am, and this is important to me, or this is valuable to me to be this way, and I really want you in my life, then there's certain behaviors I just cannot accept, because accepting those behaviors doesn't allow for this to be. It takes away from this. It diminishes this. It affects this in a downward spiral in a way that doesn't benefit me at all. And if that's the case, and we're not talking about benefit like, oh yeah, you better make me that money. No, we're talking about benefit like in your health, in your internal sense of self, in your sense of fulfillment. Like, are you truly, genuinely fulfilled with yourself outside of anyone? When you get to that place of what you are, who and how you operate, and what is truly necessary, if you're a person that cannot function effectively in situations that are stale, stagnant, or quiet, and you need excitement, you need movement, you need creativity, then you need to express, these are the things that I need in my life. If you do like that more than you like quiet, peace, and calm and whatever, you have to be able to express and understand your rhythm before you can impose it on anyone. Once you understand your own rhythm, then you won't really feel a need to impose on anyone. It's almost like, this is my rhythm and this is my rhythm divine. It's not about vilifying anyone. It's not about making anyone wrong. I'm not going to impose myself in your space, in your life, if it's not something that you want. I'm not going to do that if it's not something that's compatible to you. I'm not going to put myself in any way, shape, or form in a position where I am a burden, or I am expecting or demanding of you, and I'm made to feel like I'm a villain. So it's like, my place is not to accommodate you. My place is to know me, where I can be in my own realm of standards, and either you're in that space with me or you're not. There's no arguing about it. There's no fighting about it. There's no debating about it. It is what it is, and it's like, okay, when it's aligned, it'll be aligned, and if it's not, there's levels and alignments that you can have outside of any individual. It's almost like not personal in that way. You know what I mean? Like, do we want certain people in our life? Yes. Are we willing to work towards being a better match with individuals we want to be with and associate with, or do we want to grow if we find that we're not up to par in any way? Of course, if you genuinely are doing the shadow work, then you don't want to keep repeating mistakes that you know haven't worked in your favor. If you get into a habit of doing things that have gotten you into trouble in the workplace, are you going to keep doing those things that get you in trouble and then make it worse and worse and worse? Or are you going to be like, oops, that was something that didn't work in my favor. That was something with severe consequences. Let me not do that. Let me try doing things correct. And then you see better results. Only a fool. What is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing and expecting different results. If you keep making the same mistakes, don't get angry that you keep getting the same results. You have to change something in your own self, in your own character, that is allowing for that energy to be there. So once you've established that can no longer participate in my reality, in order so that I can participate in this new reality, that is more in alignment with who I've grown myself to be, then you're set. You're all set. So it wasn't exactly a reading, it was a message for what's to come in this eclipse energy, or at least the challenges we may be facing, or the considerations that we might have when it comes to relationships. So we see the Magician here, the Queen of Cups. Yeah, you're manifesting from a place of love, and you've invested highly into yourself, into building something that you can actually depend on, something that will establish a foundation for what you're doing. Okay, it's like this is where the business is going to be rooted from, or it's gonna be established. We're going to establish the business in this location, and from there, once the building is there, now you can function and work from there. And doing that allows you to walk away from those things that are just not contributing to that, aren't open to that, and walking away to remain steady, to remain balanced, to remain to create a structure whereby you can function effectively. It's like you can bounce off from here, or you can take off from here, or you can produce from here, you can grow from here. It's like elevating the standard so that from that point you can now move forward into the direction that you're wanting. It's what was needed in order for you to be able to do what you came here to do, without the interference of the outside world trying to break it down all the time. You've established the protection, you've established the space, the sturdy space that's necessary for growth to flourish. So that is the message. I hope you enjoyed. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the solar eclipse. I look forward to it. Being in Texas, I hope I get to get a nice glimpse of it. I'll take pictures, and hopefully if I get something really nice, I'll share them with you. All right, well, take care. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.